Welcome back, everyone, to the Testament of Sherlock Holmes. We are possessing the mind of the greatest detective that has ever ostensibly lived, and his housemate, Watson. So, we have been charged with some slander. We need to examine this necklace, which is ostensibly a fake, but we shall soon see to the matter of that. Oh, okay, so...
These 3 pearls are of poor quality.
Yeah, that's another obvious one.
This pearl is a different colour.
What else? Asymmetry would be the next obvious thing to look at. In which case, this is a different size.
This pearl is too small. It is not in its place here. Too many defects. This necklace is a fake. This is nothing but a vulgar copy, and at a glance it would appear that the forger has intended for it to be seen as such.
Oh, it was really, really bad.
How could we have been fooled by such a blatant imitation? I don't understand.
Yes, how is it possible? Holmes, do you have a theory
Someone's
about
trying to
this?
discredit him.
I have absolutely
Possibly,
no idea.
the Marcus
You
is trying
insisted
to
that I
collect
examine
on the
necklace,
insurance
and
money.
I've done so. Now it is important that I keep my appointment. I'm sure, Inspector, that you will throw some light on this affair.
Holmes.
You may accompany me, Watson, if you care to do so.
Ooh,
Goodbye,
snippy.
gentlemen. I'll keep you informed as to my inquiries.
Goodbye, Inspector.
Do so.
You mentioned a bishop, didn't you? Are we going to his home?
Yes, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. I put his address on our map of London on my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
All right,
Okay.
Holmes.
Nope. You control Dr. Watson. Right. So where is his desk? Ah, there we are.
I have found your map.
Okay, so this is basically our fast travel system. And we've got Diocese of Knightsbridge. Let's see what this yields for us then. Hopefully the loading screen's a bit more lax than the last time. Yep, there we go. Boy's back. That?
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the
You've
Bishop of
either been
Knightsbridge?
swimming or that
Yes.
outfit is really tight.
Yes, of course. But come in.
Okay.
What has happened, Reverend?
What?
I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God, how horrible. I haven't called anyone.
To
Help
what
us
are you
now.
referring exactly?
Holmes!
Oh.
Look!
The Bishop, appallingly mutilated.
Okay, I
How
may have
dreadful.
to actually ooh, wow.
And killed.
I may have to blur that, so if there's blurring on the screen, that's why. And it was worth doing. Wow.
Look at him. He is barely recognizable now.
Yes, thank you for
How could any of
expressing why I
God's
should be
children be
blurring this scene.
That.
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend.
Wow.
Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
Do you see
No,
that?
Reverend. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
Really?
In that case, I must ask you to leave. And not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question! I don't even know you! I'm going to call
Really?
the police,
That's
whether
surprising.
you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one, therefore we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain.
Yep.
The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen. And indeed, it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson.
So we know they didn't take anything, and they had no reason to think they would find anything to take. Oh, hello. Okay, make the right deductions based on the facts that you have. Perfect. Okay. You control Sherlock Holmes. Okay, now I'm just gonna look away from that, because that is probably going to get me in trouble with someone, at least.
A broken file. and blood near the neck.
What a strange smell. Phew. Chemical components, I think.
Something new on our deduction board as well. Flask. Broken flask has some blood at its top, so... Most likely they made him drink the contents. They'd probably already beaten him up quite a bit.
A bottle of whiskey.
Hey.
I can make out fingerprints stained with blood and dirt.
Okay.
There is blood on this paperweight.
There was something else near this floor.
A broken bottle of whiskey. However, the Bishop of Knightsbridge was known for his sobriety.
Well...
It would seem that the brutes who tortured the bishop to death were intoxicated with alcohol.
Somebody was, at least. And also, I'm not entirely certain if we can vouch for what he did in his private time. Ooh, hello.
Impossible to open it.
Ah, it's a pattern.
Reverend, I'm missing something. An implement with which to open this chest. Could you tell me where to find it?
No, go to the devil.
Oh, that's
What are
not very
afraid
nice of you.
Reverend? What is inside the chest?
I'm not afraid of anything. In fact, I do have the necessary implements, but if I have to give them to anyone, it will be to a representative of the law and no one else.
I find it very unlikely that he doesn't know who Sherlock Holmes of all people is. I think it's more likely he's worried that we'll find something in this room. Murderers were unable to open the safe. We know that because it's locked and the implements haven't moved. They're still going to this guy. Now, what else can we find around here?
Closed. The veranda door hasn't been forced. Strange. Reverend, might I have the key?
No! You have no authority here. Let me call the police.
Perhaps we should listen to him, Holmes.
Perhaps you should let me get on with this, Watson.
Okay, so we know the veranda wasn't accessed. There we are. Veranda wasn't searched, so... Murderers were looking for something specific. Got the wrong person, or the bishop took the murderers by surprise. It would suggest they were looking for something very specific that they probably already knew the location of. That's why we probably don't see this room in a massive state of disarray.
This door has not been forced. Where does it lead, Reverend?
To His Excellency's room. There is just a mattress and a stool.
Oh, so this room you're happy to open. Okay. Oh, hello.
It is impossible to get out.
So they didn't exit through this room, then? Well, unfortunately, this means we now have to examine the body, so... If you're any bit squeamish, you might want to skip ahead a few minutes. Apologies for this.
This stove is filled to overflowing.
Someone was trying to keep something hot, then. Oh, ball. Here we go.
This poor man was tied just below the knees.
To stop him from walking, certainly, but mostly to free his feet.
For other purposes.
His feet have been burned.
My first impression is that he wears a size 9 shoe.
You! But what does it matter, Holmes?
It may mean quite a bit, actually.
A finger. Apparently it doesn't belong to the Bishop of Knightsbridge.
Ah.
How dreadful.
And almost certainly it was recovered from his assailants.
These burns are terrible.
Ew.
The fingers have been crushed and violently struck.
My God, Holmes, this man was horribly tortured.
Yes.
The fingers have been...
But that is an interesting mark on his chest.
Stomach is covered in scratches. Quite evidently, they weren't made recently.
So, these wounds were not made by his murderers.
A more persistent thing. I wonder if he practices self-flagellation.
His chest has been lacerated, I would say, with a very sharp and fine blade. You can see by his expression that he suffered terribly.
I can see by his
mouth
expression
is
he's
covered
dead.
in blood, and I can make out strips of skin between his teeth.
Ah, well that goes back to our issue with the
You
finger.
can see by
His mouth...
Hang on, let's go back a bit. to that arm.
His forearms have been ripped. Pieces of skin have been torn off. What do you think, Watson?
I'd say that he was eaten alive. Yet I've noticed a curious degeneration of the skin tissue around the wounds.
My dear friend, everything points to this man having gnawed at his own forearms.
That's unbelievable, Holmes.
Well, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however implausible, must be the truth. So, torture. Savagely tortured. Bishop. Gnawed at himself. Let's see, we certainly have some interesting things to discover here.
Something is missing here.
Oh, yes? And what might that be?
His shoes. Watson, his shoes are missing.
Ah, yes. I just figured he was home. Okay. Bishop's shoes missing. Right. Hello.
Watch where you're putting your feet, Watson. Have you noticed these prints upon the ground?
Well, yes, those muddy marks.
See here, Watson. Footprints can often provide more vital information than the very best of informants.
Yes, if you know how to make them talk, that is.
It's child's play, Watson.
Or it
We'll
is at this
begin
stage.
by excluding the contaminating prints, which are yours and mine from where we came in, and those of our dear Reverend, who was so impatient to call the police.
Okay, so, question 1. How many criminals were there? Well, this we can tell from the different sizes.
Size 9. Size 9.5.
Okay, that's at least 2.
Size 9.5. Size 9.
So 9, 9, 9.5. We're looking at least 3 people so far. Let's see.
This print came from an expensive pair of shoes, and it seems recent. It is not a laborer's shoe.
That's probably the bishop's then. So, is there anything else that we can tell to separate these prints?
A fragment of stone.
Ah.
Peculiar. Well-worn shoes with an odd pattern on the soles. Hobnail boots like those worn
That's at
by
least
laborers.
3 or 4.
Hobnail boots like those worn by laborers.
That's question 2. One man joined those who were already in the room. One man left the room wearing different
Strange,
shoes.
but true. One of the crooks was wearing a different pair of shoes when he left here.
The bishop's shoes. Okay, and question 1. How many criminals? I want to say 3.
Perfect. We now know that there were 3 crooks.
Therefore, we have 3 men who came in and left again, but one of them was wearing a different pair of shoes from the ones which he came in with.
So, all we have to do is look for a workman who likes Italian shoes.
That's one way of considering it. Okay, so meanwhile, our deduction board has more stuff. Right. Shoes. One of the murderers left in different shoes. One of the murderers is a member of the clergy. No. Murdered threw the bishop's shoes away. They left wearing the bishop's shoes, which suggests reasonably poor, because why would you trade your shoes otherwise, more or less? So we know they were looking for something specific. We know that they're poor, which suggests they wouldn't have needed to kill the bishop to get his shoes. So that's out of the question. They wanted to steal from the bishop, an option, but given that they're already likely to have known that the bishop didn't have much to steal, they probably wouldn't have bothered, which suggests that they were instead hired by someone. Hey. And there's nothing else as yet to figure out. But what else? What else can we uncover?
You have no right to search here.
Oh, but I'm sure we will anyways.
I cannot leave now.
There's gotta be something that we've overlooked. Is it over here, maybe?
The picture of Peregrine Maitland, commander of the infantry brigade of Her Majesty's Guards at Waterloo.
The Bishop of Knightsbridge has the same name as his ancestor, an illustrious family.
Ah. Okay. So then we're probably looking a game of chess of some kind. Ah, hello.
A whip?
No, it is a discipline.
Self-flagellation. Hello.
Self-flagellation.
Called it. And that looks like it could have caused the marks on his chest.
It's a cilice, designed to bruise the person wearing it. The bishop wore it as repentance. This very pious man must have had the habit of mortifying his flesh as a means of repentance.
Which suggests he wouldn't have been very good at enduring torture. So the bishop resisted torture, and if the bishop resisted torture and the murderers were unable to open the safe, then they didn't get what they wanted. Is there anything else we can work out? Yep, just this section now. Now what else can we work out, though? Nope, nothing from the magic sense. There we are, that's one thing. A blade.
A surgical scalpel covered in blood. There isn't any doubt. The wounds on the bishop were administered with this scalpel.
Right. That means we found the weapon that at least lacerated his chest, but nothing else we can ascertain as yet. Let's get one last look in here. Examine the bed.
The bishop's bedroom. It is very austere. Nothing in particular here.
Yeah, so nothing of interest, at least not yet. I feel like we've gotten everything. But we're clearly missing some details here. Now, we already looked in this direction, did it? So let's try this direction. Just the safe. Ooh, hello?
These traces reveal that the thieves tried to open this chest.
Aha.
I am missing impossible.
Okay, so we definitely can't get into that. At least not yet. And we're still missing at least one detail on this deduction bridge. Looks like he was just settling in for tea when they arrived. Is there anything I could have missed on him? I don't think so. Oh, hello, there's something on his legs. Something down here that I missed, apparently.
His feet. You.
Oh, hello. What's that? Oh,
A
there we
piece
are.
of rope that was used to tie up that poor man. It is evident that the Bishop of Knightsbridge's killers were after something specific, and that they did not find it. Reverend, I shall ask you one more time. Open the chest. The item they were seeking must still be inside. It is unlikely that they will let this matter rest. They will most certainly return to finish what they started.
Probably with
And I'm
crowbars.
telling you once more, the chest is locked and shall remain so.
Very well.
You are
We have
very
reached
stubborn.
an impasse. You are a stubborn man, Reverend. Watson, accompany our friend to the police station and return with Inspector Baines. Baines and no one else. I shall wait for you here. Go. Alone at last. Now I can continue my investigation.
Yes, alone with the very, very unfortunate man. But I think that shall be it for the time being, so hope you've enjoyed yet another episode of Testament of Sherlock Holmes, and I shall catch you all next time when we continue to investigate this gruesome murder. Catch you then.